What's up, everybody? Welcome to Hump Day, Wednesday night build show here at the Empower Gaming Computer Studio. This is actually what my studio looks like, if you are wondering. It is not a virtual background. It is probably truly as chaotic, but it's close enough. It's a good resemblance. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the build show. I'm your host, Benestrino, and this is where we build lots of awesome gaming PCs live on stream. And today, we've got not one, but two builds to do tonight. We're going to be doing a couple of builds tonight and hanging out, chatting, talking about the latest and greatest tech, whatever it may be. If you got questions about any of the builds that we're doing, parts, or maybe something about your own build, feel free to jump in and ask questions. I always love the questions. Bring them on. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I know this gentleman has been waiting patiently for us to do this build, and I'm excited to get this build done and get it out to them, which will be shipping out here soon. Both these builds, I believe, are shipping. So here we go. Let's go to the top down and we'll bust out the actual build sheet. We'll get started and we'll start building. Sound fun? All right. So top it off, we have our CPU, which is the AMD Ryzen 7 5800X 3D. So we're utilizing that AMD X or AMD 3D V cache, 3D cache. It's actually called the 3D V cache. That's the actual technical term on AMD side. But anyway, if you're not familiar with that, the extra 3D V cache gives the or supports the graphics card a little bit better and provides a little bit better performance with the combination of this CPU and a graphics card. Doesn't matter if it's AMD or NVIDIA. Both of them will benefit off of this CPU and gain a little bit of extra performance. I highly recommend this CPU for gamers. This one and also the 7000 series 3D V cache CPUs are also great. But we're going to be on the AIM-4 platform. We're going to be building with the Thermalright Frozen Note, cooling the 5700X 3D. The Frozen Note is a 360mm AIO that we're going to be using today with an inline pump. I'm a big fan of the inline pumps because it doesn't really matter where you put your radiator as long as that pump is not the highest point of the loop, and it's very difficult to make the pump the highest point of the loop. So it's a great design by Thermalright. Has 3 120mm PWM addressable RGB fans included on the radiator, which we'll probably have to rotate because those are never facing the right direction every time we open it up. Asus Tough Gaming B550 Plus Wi-Fi 2 is the motherboard we're going to be using today over here. It's a great motherboard. The only downside and the only complaint that I've ever had with this motherboard, or any of the Tough series motherboards for that matter, unless it was the Pro series, but the Plus series on either the X570 or the B550s lack one major component, and that is a USB-C header for your case. So if your case includes a USB-C connection, this motherboard lacks that. And I'm sorry, Tyler, but that is the best thing we could do with the price that we had, the budget, and we were focused on performance. I believe this motherboard has USB-C on the back though. So the USB-C port on this case is not going to function unless we got an expansion card, or we would have gotten a different motherboard. And all the motherboards in this that would run this CPU nicely would be probably an extra $50 to $80 right now. Anyway, they didn't used to be like that, but this platform has been increasing in price, the motherboards anyway. I don't get why, but they are. 32 gigs of DDR4 3200, so we're going to be running 4 8 gig sticks of 3200 megahertz, and that's going to be our G.Skill Ripjaws 5 series at CL16. So we'll have 4 8-gig sticks totaling out to 32 gigs. And then our storage, we're going to be using a Silicon Power 2 terabyte M.2 NVMe SSD. If you're not familiar with Silicon Power's been around for a long time. They make some pretty good SSDs. And this will give them about 5,000 megabits per second on the read and about 4,500 megabits per second on the write. So pretty snappy drive for Gen 4. You know, it's not a Samsung 990 Pro, which costs almost double that for the drive, but it's definitely going to perform, and his games will be extremely snappy, and that's what we want. So next up, we have our graphics card, which we're out of the box, but it is a EVGA RTX 3080 10GB GDDR6X 320-bit. I did have it out of the box for testing because it was a refurbished card, I will say that. But getting this card into this build, we are covering it with our 2-year warranty. So this card is going to be covered, and I verified with EVGA it is covered for 2 more years. And we are covering it as well for 2 years. So if there is a problem with this card within the 2 years, we are going to take care of it. But refurbished, it was refurbished by EVGA, and that's how we got the card for such a good deal. And packed it into all of this for such a great price. But the 3080 is going to still outperform or perform just as good as maybe a 4070 Ti, or I'm sorry, 4070 Super or 4070 today. So it's a very good card. Just lacks a couple of gigs on the VRAM comparing those 2 cards. But overall, I would be super happy with this build personally for myself, and it actually beats my build, which is, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to be putting this all into a Montech Air 903 Max, so you're familiar if you've followed the channel. Hey, what's up? What's up? The PC case is, that we're just covering that right now. It's going to be the Montech Air 903 Max. So it's the Max, the 903 Max, which includes the addressable RGB fans on the front and one 140 on the rear, which is just black. But we're going to be doing this in black, the black version of that case. And then the power supply is going to be the Sagittap GM850W, which also offers the 850 watt 80 plus gold power supply, but it also offers the PCIe 5.0 option. So once Tyler is ready to upgrade, he can always upgrade this graphics card to a 40 series or even a 5000 series and have that 16-pin 12-volt high-power connector on the power supply ready to go. So that future-proofs his connection or his power supply, future-proofs his system for future upgrades. Because NVIDIA is announcing that they're going to push that 16-pin connector. But without further ado, guys, that's pretty much covering all the components that we're going to be building with today. Let's get started, shall we? So, like normal, we're going to start with the motherboard, the CPU, the RAM. I'll go ahead and set this guy over here. And we're going to pop the AMD motherboard open. Break the seal. Here we go. What's up, QZ? How are you doing today? How is it going? All right, we'll get zoomed in here so we can take a closer look at the motherboard as we're installing the components onto the board. Yep. There it is. Would you look at that? There we go. We got an excellent view of the board. So we'll go ahead and get the CPU installed right now. And then we'll move on to throwing the RAM and the SSD on there. And also the cooler bracket. Actually, we don't have to with AMD on this one. So we're going to utilize these brackets for this cooler. So you want to line up this gold triangle with that top corner there. And drop it in. Hey, what's up, viewers? How's it going? How's your Wednesday evening? And then we'll move on to our 32 gigs of DDR4 3200 CL16 by G.Skill, Ripjaws 5. The timing on these are CL32. I like to pair them up like so. Hey, what's up, Flacco? Twitch? It's Thursday morning here. Holy shit. Good morning. It's evening over here still for us. But it's about 9:06 p.m. We're Eastern time, so one day I'll be streaming earlier in the day. Studs out there. Oh, here we go. That's what I meant by stud. Technically, you're from the future. Actually, anytime I'm playing with some of my buddies, especially buddies from like Australia, my Australian buddies on PUBG, we make fun of that, and I always ask them what the lottery number is going to be, the winning lottery number, and they haven't given me a straight answer yet, or the right number. But eventually, one day, that'll work, right? So if you know the winning lottery number, since you're from the future, just send them over this way. And I promise, I will give you a winning portion of that winning. There we are. Got the SSD mounted. Now we're ready to actually move on to the case. Those 3080s are still solid. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think we got the card for around $440. It's a great card. 100% still a great card today. We're going to set this aside. We're going to zoom out. And then we are going to grab that case and start putting this board in there. Hey, what's up? Look behind the illusions, beyond the illusion. How's it going over there, sir? Hey, how's it going, Dagus Rick? What's up, man? I actually just checked on your tracking. Looks like it's going to be there tomorrow now. You love the PC. That's awesome. It's good to hear. Look beyond the illusions over here on YouTube. Holy smokes. I briefly saw the light. Questions, Ben. So 8 gig VRAM cards are no good for gaming, right? No, absolutely not. They're perfectly fine. Yeah, 8 gig cards are more than enough to enjoy. It's the 4 gig cards that are kind of phasing out right now. The 4 gig cards are pretty much phased out at this point. Unless it's PCIe 4.0 compatible. So for example, if it's an RX 570 that runs PCIe 3.0, it's going to struggle. But if it's a RX 570 on PCIe 3.0 with an 8 gig VRAM, it'll do all right. It'll run 1080p, you know, probably mid-low settings. Pretty much any title you throw at it. Still today. It'll handle it. Right? All right. Let's go ahead and we're going to be driving 9 screws into this board to secure it. Nobody saw that. You guys didn't see anything. All right. So next up, what do you guys think? EPS cables? I think that's a good idea because we're going to put a radiator at the top here. It's going to get a little cramped. I think the EPS cables going in first is going to be a good idea. So let's open up our power supply. What GPU do you have again? Didn't we go with what was it? Crap. We just did it. It's either a 3060 or a 4060. But we went heavy on the everything else to get it there. It was a very well-balanced system, set up for really good upgrades. We finally got to the cables. EPS cables. We only need one for this one. My bad. All right. And then next, I'd say we're probably good to start throwing this radiator in here. Let's get that done. We do have to rotate these fans really quick because they are facing the wrong way. What I mean by facing the wrong way, the cables are pointed the incorrect direction. I need the cables on the other side of the radiator. That way we don't have ugly cables on the front of the radiator, but on the back side, hidden behind everything. And then probably the longest portion of the stream, dealing with the twist ties, guys. Dealing with the twist ties. I'm telling you. I have to probably break some sort of record dealing with twist ties. All right, we're good to go. Almost. Don't worry, guys, there was just one more twist tie. All right. Now let's get this thing in there. Start by sending the RGB cables through to the backside from the fans. They're the longest cable. Then we'll grab the PWM connections for the fans. Send each of those through, being the shortest. And then we can mount its radiator to the top of the case. With the radiator screws. And I fill out all of the screws, especially if it's getting shipped, because it'll help support. These things do take a beating, especially if the box is dropped a long way. I've seen these radiator screws get pulled right through cases. So the more support we have, the better. Oops. Good to go. All right, let's pull the rest of these cables through. Nice and neat. Actually, we have to pump. send through here. Send it back here. Normally the pump's actually over here, but we're going to put it in this one up here. We'll just adjust it, BIOS. There we go. Now let's block this CPU. Blocked on the CPU. What this is doing is using these two clips here on each side, this one here and this one here, and it's going to grab the little brackets that come with the motherboard, stock brackets. That's how Thermalright mounts for AM4 and I think AM5. Actually how a lot of coolers mount AM4. Gonna verify the tension on those brackets. Make sure they're tight. I've actually had loose screws before there. And yes, another twist tie. And there we go. Cooler is mounted. Spend a hot minute back here with some cables. Get everybody going the direction that they need to go. Right. Alright, front panel connector's all done. We just got to deal with the radiator fans. They're not connected here on the back. Throw a power supply in it, and gosh, throw a graphics card in it, do a little bit of cable management, and we fire this bad boy up. Not too crazy. Hey, good evening, Army Vet. Welcome back to the build streams. I think we're ready. Go ahead and drop the power supply in. Looking pretty dope already. Four screws to secure the power supply. And then a little bit of cable management with the GPU installation. Finally fire this thing up and see what it looks like. All right, almost there. Not cool. All right, and this RTX 3080 is going to require two 16-pin or two 8-pin connectors. We're going to run two cables to it. Two PCIe 8-pin cables, separate cables. The only other thing I'd like to see on this card is a support brackets. We'll have to drum one up. Wasn't included with the build. Should have thought of that. My bad. There we go. Nice and clean. What do you guys think? Clean enough? Send it. Hey, what's up, some giant idiot? Looking super clean? Thank you. Super clean is what we do. Look at that. Isn't it magnificent? You guys ready to see what this thing looks like? I know it's a case we've used in the past a few times, but not all PCs are the same. They have different personalities. This PC, for example, could be a complete asshole. I don't know. All right, let's fire it up. And we'll move on to build number 2. Oh. I actually forgot to put the side panel on. Cause I'm special. Hold on, I'll fix that view in a second. I just realized I never readjusted that guy before I started. So now you guys are going to stare at my bags of zip ties here. Just a moment. All right, let's fix that. Yeah, there's a little bit of a sag here on the card. We can already see it. Gonna need a support bracket. For sure. I've got a couple of discrete ones I'll throw in there. That's probably what I'll throw in there. Honestly. Let's go ahead and fire it up and see what it looks like. I'll take care of the sag, don't worry. Gonna come with a kickstand. Here we go, Tyler. Sweet build. Thank you. It's rocking in a Ryzen 7 5800X 3D on a B550 with 32 gigs of DDR4 3200. Has an RTX 3080. Wow, by EVGA. This is the XC3. Those 3-fan card. It's got some RGB on the side and the back of the card. And then we're cooling it with a 360mm AIO by Thermalbright. This is the Frozen Note with a inline pump. And we're powering it with a 850 watt 80 plus gold by Segitep. Fully modular. Also with the 16-pin connector for future proofing this build. So later when he wants to upgrade the card, he could do that. That is the color I'm using too. Nice! Nice. But we're posted up. Oh, and we have a 2TB M.2 NVMe by Silicon Power, which is the UD90. Great SSD for the price. I think I've only ever had like 1 or 2 of those fail on me out of the probably hundreds I've used. So, pretty good sample rate. And the case is a 903 Max by Montech, which includes the 3 fans on the front, which are 140mm PWM addressable RGB, and a rear black 140mm fan. And it also has a RGB controller and fan controller hub on the back as well, so there's really good value. That's about just the hub alone is like 10 or 15 bucks if you go on Amazon and try to get one of those. And each one of these fans are probably around, I'd say, $5 to $10 in that price range. So good value for the case you're getting. Super easy to maintain, clean. It's large, can hold and house a lot of large components, especially with some of today's larger video cards. I love the case. Great airflow as well with the complete mesh front. As you can see, fully mesh. So our intake is wonderful. All right. Build number 1 is done for Mr. Tyler. We can move on to build number 2. Throw this one over there on the bench. And then start build number 2. Build number 2 is going to be a different color than you are all used to. FYI. That is the... Anybody know what build this is? Anybody guess what build this is off our website? Without looking at the case. Especially if you followed along long enough. You probably know. Oh yeah, it's gonna be a different color. All right, let's go ahead and get started after I change the name of the build. That's, you know, important. Here we go, build number 2 for Emmanuel. So what's the build tonight? Well, Dirty Dan, we actually just finished build number 1. We're on build number 2. Build number 1 was a Montech 903 Max with a Ryzen 7 5800, or I'm sorry, Ryzen 7 5800 X3D paired with an RTX 3080, 32 gigs of RAM DDR4 on a B550 with a 2TB M.2 NVMe and an 850 watt gold power supply with a 360mm AIO. Build number 2, we're starting right now. So we're going to run through the parts here that we're going to be building with. And let me know if anybody could figure out what build this is from the website. You should recognize it. I did a ton of these in December, right around Christmas time. And I streamed every single one of them. So, starting off, we have the AMD Ryzen 5 3600, 6 cores, 12 threads, max boost of 4.2 gigahertz on the AM4 platform with a Thermalright Frozen Note liquid AIO cooler, which is a 240mm radiator with two 120mm adjustable RGB fans. The motherboard is a Gigabyte B450 MDS3H Wi-Fi micro ATX motherboard. And we've got 16 gigs of DDR4 3200 megahertz RAM in dual channel CL16. And this is the addressable RGB Zenith series by Silicon Power. And then we have a 1TB M.2 NVMe SSD, which is just a Gen 3 drive, but it's going to be plenty quick for gaming and anything that you're going to be throwing on this thing. We're going to be powering the rig with a 650 watt. I traded off a 750 watt 80 plus bronze for a 650 watt 80 plus gold. So we had more efficiency to the build. And that is actually going to be a change that's going to happen on the website as well. It's just, I'm going with the gold rated 650 for this build. The video card we're going to be using is the AMD Radeon RX 6600 8GB GDDR6 128-bit PCIe 4 supports 4.0, but it will be running in 3.0 with this motherboard combination. It's a great card, 1080p, 1080p card. Can pretty much run anything you want to throw at it. For anybody that's just starting out in the PC world, this is probably the most bang for your buck when it comes to new cards right now. The RX 6600 will deliver and give you a really good experience. So I always recommend that card, or maybe the RTX 3060 if you can find a really good deal on it. And then the case. Well, the case is the case brands switch, and it varies based on availability. Normally, that's the Amundsen H8 micro ATX dual chamber micro ATX tower, but today we're going to be using DIY PC brand, which is the same tower, just different brand, and it's a different color. It's in teal. No, different color. I've actually never built with this color before, so this is the first time I've ever built in a teal case. See how it looks. What's up, Flacco? Thank you for hanging out. Goat? Is that a goat? I think that's a goat. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to move some of this out of the way and we'll get this rolling. This build will probably be in the hour range. We're about an hour 14 minutes in, so I'd say it's going to be a good hour. You have that motherboard with 32 gigs of RAM, the Ryzen 7 3700X, 800 watt power supply with the RTX 3060 for the video card, and Air 903 Max. Nice. Yeah, I don't know who would have convinced you to buy that case and that cooler that I know you're running. Somebody influenced you to buy that? Don't know who that could be. Couldn't be me. The case and the cooler is great, yes. They're a very good combination for a great thermal experience. The Montech 903 Max. And your wallet does not need to suffer when you buy those combinations. Although I want to upgrade the processor to one of the... Yeah, definitely. So the best processor for that motherboard or for that lineup, and you might want to do a BIOS update before you go to the 5000 series, but it's going to be the Ryzen 7 5800X 3D. That is going to give you the most performance in gaming today on the AM4 platform. And I would double check the motherboard supports it. And also, between the case and the 360mm AIO, it was 140 bucks, exactly. Yeah, your wallet is, you know, it doesn't need to suffer. You can have great thermals and not spend $1 million. But yeah, the 5800X 3D, which is the one I actually just built with on that other rig, build number 1 tonight, that is the processor that you will want to use on the AM4 platform to get the most performance for gaming. The Ryzen 7 5800X 3D. The 3D is very important because there's a 5800X and then there's the 5800X 3D. The 3D has the 3D V-Cache technology, which really gives a nice boost on the graphics card. So make sure you grab that one. It's going to be more expensive, but it is worth it. All right, let's go ahead and zoom in. And we'll get this CPU mounted along with the RAM and the SSD. That is correct, the 5800X 3D. Micro Center probably has the best deal for that one. And again, make sure you do a BIOS update before you put the new CPU in. Wasn't good. Weird. Sorry about that. My computer still does that random. Hey, let's have some audio freakingness all of a sudden. My stream PC has this like audio freak out moment. Haven't been able to figure it out. I think it's the motherboard though. It's very well used. When a buddy built me a gaming PC about 12 years ago, the processor needed a BIOS upgrade, so he had to buy a second processor to do the BIOS upgrade. Exactly, yes. You'll be in the same boat, except you want to utilize your 3700X to do the BIOS update, then put the new CPU in. And I'd also just double, triple check that the motherboard that you have, if it is a B450, supports a 5800X 3D. So just make sure it's on the supported list, which will be on the manufacturer's website. All right, so we've got the motherboard ready to go. We can throw this into the case. Y'all excited to see the color of this thing? Oh, yeah. It's different. Like a teal mint green. Maybe I should have zoomed out first. Really cool color. Don't worry, we are replacing the wife is. LOL. We are replacing those fans that come with this case because they're just absolute trash. So we're gonna remove those. But pretty cool, huh? I knew it was only a matter of time before somebody wanted a mint green, teal colored PC. Almost got the pink when you built mine. Nice. Pink's pretty cool too. I've done actually quite a few pink ones. And like pink and white or pink and black, like accents, they go together really nicely. I don't care what anybody else says. They look pretty badass. And this theme is going to be black and teal. Teal being the main color, black being the accent. That's kind of what we're shooting for here. Go ahead and just remove these fans real quick. We're not going to use them anyway. Same here. Yeah, if I had the option, next time I'll probably do a pink one for myself. Definitely for my wife, and for maybe one of my girls. All right. Cheap fans have been removed. Fortunately, they were included with the case. Wait, does the B450M motherboard have USB-C connector on it? No, I don't think it does. It was rare for the 400 series to have a USB-C. I think USB-C started coming into play on the 500 series for AMD, I believe. Maybe on a super high-end board like an X470, like a high-end X470, might have had USB-C, but that was about it. They put up the wrong manual. It's USB 3. It's got USB 3 on it. But not USB-C. I'm gonna move that stud. This stud's gotta move. Dirt in a jar. Love what you do here. I bought a PC off you about 4 months ago. Still going great. Awesome. Thanks for stopping back in. Glad to hear you're still enjoying the PC. Which PC did you get, Dirt in a jar? I don't remember. I talk to too many people in a single day where I'm starting to lose it. Kara Montine, thank you for the like over on Facebook. Adam, also on Facebook, and Carol, as well as Tyler for the follow. Tyler, I believe you were watching on Facebook. Tyler was the first build that we did tonight. 1 second. No worries. I just don't recall which PC we built. I recognize the name though, because I love the name. Dirt in a jar. Kind of reminds me of Captain Jack Sparrow. When he runs around bragging about his jar of dirt. We're going to get these connectors, front panel connectors taken care of, and then we'll start working on the fans, chipping away at those, and then the AIO cooler. That is currently the plan, fam. The Quantum Prime. We're actually building a Quantum Prime right here. Nice. Dang it, I just gave it away to everybody. Nobody answered my question, by the way. Yeah, the Quantum Prime is a solid build. This is a tier 2 Quantum Prime. Because since then, I have a Quantum Prime, like the main Quantum Prime, the original, I guess you can call it. And then we have the Quantum Prime Tier 2 and the Quantum Prime Tier 1, which has a little bit lower, or lower specs on it. But it's a safe cost, but had the same design. I'm also planning on making a bigger, better Quantum Prime, and maybe one in between this one and the original. And maybe a custom selector, so that you can build out your own Quantum Prime. Still planning to add that to the website. All right, we're gonna need zip ties for this. That's open. I'm the brother of one of your brother's friends. Oh, nice. Surprise, CJ? Not sure if you remember Ethan's brother. Oh, yeah. Ethan or Troy. So you're Ethan's brother? Okay, yeah. No, I remember. Nice. Nice and clean, right? We could probably, I'm actually considering putting the power supply in to put this cable on, the EPS cable, before we do the AIO. The AIO basically is going to be last, plus the graphics card. But, let's do some of the case fans. We'll start there. We got 2 on the bottom, 2 on the side, and 1 on the rear to add. So a total of 5 that we're installing. 5 fans to rule them all. Bottom and side are going to be intake. The rear is going to be an exhaust. Yeah, CJ couldn't remember the name. Oh, yeah. Not that old yet. I could put 2 and 2 together. Still. I have some memory left. What were the chances of that? That was kind of ridiculous. Okay, 4 screws per fan. Let's go. Welcome to here, right? Another day in the life of a PC builder. We like the bottom intake because it's already blowing on the GPU and cooling it. Exactly. That's why these dual chamber designs are so popular. And they just look way more modern. But that bottom intake definitely helps. That under there, it ain't looking as poo-pooey. There we go. And then we'll have one more. Bottom intake. Twist ties, guys. Twist ties. Half the build is twist ties. No joke. Two fans installed. Let's do the rear. Then we'll do the side. Then we'll move on to the AIO, or no, the power supply, then the AIO. That's one thing we want to get installed before we throw that AIO up there. Things get a little crampy in there. This rear fan's going to be exhaust. Gonna make sure we right here. Oop. And I'm going to try to get it as low as possible. So we have clearance for the AIO as needed. And so I can draw air. Wish I could have been there to see my PC get built, but I was across the country. Yeah, no worries, man. I'm basically building the same PC right now. Maybe some slightly different hardware. And if I streamed it live on YouTube, then you should definitely be able to go find it on YouTube under the live section of the channel. And this is where it starts getting messy. All the extra cables we're introducing to the system. Each new component, new mess. Trying to keep order. I'll have order in my PC. This teal and black is crisp. I love it. I actually really like it a lot. Dirt in a jar, you found it. Nice. May have to take it for myself. I mean, it's pretty dope. Not gonna lie, I'm gonna take some photos of it. Some real nice, clean photos of it. Starting to look like a gaming PC. All we're missing is the cooler. Dang. As much as I would love to stay, I have other things to be doing. Might be back later, though. No problem, man. Hang out anytime. I'll be doing streams in the future as well. Have a good night, sir, and thanks for stopping in. Sorry, I'm just like 100% heads down trying to wrap this build up. Because this is my last one for the evening. The last build for the evening. Right. That. Yeah. Looks good to me. Alright, last thing we got to deal with is the AIO. And we can fire this thing up. Built it a little backwards, and that's because of it gets to be a big pain in the ass to deal with an AIO in there sometimes. So now all we got to do is make sure everything for the AIO is plugged in at the top when we're putting it in. Saves us the hassle. Not a whole ton left here. Pretty straightforward to the finish line here. Need to rotate these fans real quick. Then we need to undo the twist ties on the cables. Like I said, half the build is twist ties. Twist ties, and more twist ties. And I think there's still one or two more twist ties, even after these. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is get this E connection going. That's the important piece. Then I got to get the hardware out before we go any further. It's still gonna. Yep. All right, almost done. Gotta mount this radiator. Don't fight me, man. Go in hole. This is what we say, uncool. Whatever. Sure, we didn't need that screw anyway. That screw could just screw off. Yeah, it's such a mess in there right now. We gotta get some of these cables through here. Nice. Fighting. Right, we got a pump. Sound like we're going through the back hole here. Then we're going to poke right back through afterwards. Yeah. All right. One more RGB twist tie deal with, guys. I think that's like 500 for the night. Nice. This one we're cutting because it just broke. Yeah, like 500 twist ties tonight. Little crazy. Thermal paste time. And we block the CPU. Re-verify that you peeled the peel off the bottom of the copper. That's just cool. You get that? Then we fight with these spring-loaded clips for a few moments. We have nothing better to do. There we go. Lose the screwdriver, because why not? Alright, and then one RGB cable to deal with here. Route to the put back there. Okay. There you have it. It's a teal Quantum Prime. Pretty cool looking. Like I said, I love the black on the teal. It is smooth. Let me just clean some of this up here and we'll fire this thing up. Check it out. First time. First teal Quantum Prime we built. Dropping all sorts of things today. That cable management's nice and clean. Still purdy. It is. Sorry, I bumped the camera with my hat. All right, I'm going to keep the glass side panel off. Let me get it plugged in here and we'll get a side view of it. Fire it up. I accidentally pushed the power button. Nice. All right, side view time. I'll adjust the angle. Pretty good. All right, we ready to fire this thing up? Let's do it. Let's punch it. We'll probably have the Gigabyte orange color, and that'll unfortunately be the color, the RGB color, that we run until we get into Windows and install the RGB Fusion software and then change it, because that's the default. So I cannot change that until we get into Windows. but it gives you an idea of how cool it can look. This one doesn't have a hardware controller where I can control the lighting before we get into Windows and install the RGB software. Well, there she is. The teal Quantum Prime. I think we did an excellent job on it. We've already posted, so we're good to go there. We'll see how long Windows takes to load up. If it doesn't take too long, I'll throw the RGB software on there and show you what it looks like. I have a couple of color ideas for it, art for the RGB that I think would look pretty cool. Oh.
Right.
Yeah, some of the cases will come with a built-in controller. Dirt in a jar looks good. Thank you, sir. But Flacco, yeah, some of the controllers or some of the cases will come with a built-in hub with a controller. This one does not. And they're like $15 if we wanted to add one, but I mean, the motherboard already has the software for the control. It just defaults to orange when it first boots up for the first time. That's the Gigabyte orange, red, orange. We're installing Windows now. We'll see how long this takes. It'll only take a few minutes. And then we'll get to the desktop. And then I'll download the RGB Fusion and show you a couple of different colors. But yeah, it's pretty badass looking. Just so you can see the front from a different angle. You got the glass here, the glass there. Pretty dope. My wife may get robbed for it. All right, Windows installed. We're rebooting. We're gonna hit the and then we'll get to the desktop. can have mine. Almost to the OOBE, out-of-box experience. Ooh, getting tired. Takes a minute to get through this process, I'm sorry. Wowzers. There we are. All right. Almost to the desktop. Finally. Oh, this might take a few moments, Microsoft says. Don't turn off your PC. Just kidding. I'll do what I want, Microsoft. You're not my boss. But yeah, I just want to get the RGB Fusion installed so we can, you know, play with the lights and show you a couple of different colors. I was thinking like a white would look really cool in there. There we go. Finally made it to the desktop. Now we're just gonna go download the RGB Fusion software. What is this? 1.4, I'm assuming? 1.5. All right, RGB Fusion is installing. Right meow. Then we'll be able to change some of these lights. Yes. All right, do we have to reboot or will it work? We'll see. Please wait. Waiting. So much waiting. There we go. So this is our digital wave. RGB, right? Pretty cool. But I was thinking that we could do white. Not picking up the RAM yet. We have to reboot before it picks up the RAM. But like a white would be looking cool. Or a blue. Blue looks cool. Green looks pretty dope. But what about we get crazy and go pink? Or we can go with the teal. Tealish. Cyan. Cyan. Anyway, just wanted to show you a couple of different colors there. Looks pretty dope. Back to the digital wave. Pretty dope looking. At least I think it looks cool. Cool colors. All right. So, now that we're done building it. Now I got to just finish up the Windows side of things, do the BIOS updates, set the XMP profile, fan curves, and then make sure all the drivers are installed, Windows is up to date, and then we go through our battle tested phase where we run the crap out of it to make sure it's ready to go. And then we'll package it up, ship it. Same thing with the other one, Mr. Tyler, if you were watching the first build today. So, really, that's it, guys. We're done for the night. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream and watching the builds. We'll probably have some more builds coming up here. Definitely, I have a couple lined up for next week. I don't know if we have anything specifically planned for the weekend, so we might be streamless over the weekend. But normally I will have a build on Saturday, sometimes Monday, depending on which day everything lands here. Just make sure you follow if you want to check us out next time we're live and hang out. Thank you again, everybody, for hanging out for tonight. I'll see you guys on the next one. Army Vet, you have a good one. Have a good night. Flacco, have a good night. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, guys. Have a good night. Happy Wednesday and almost Thursday. We'll see you guys.